Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? Welcome to Fiaura and welcome to this review of the Ramka-99 Tier 8 Armored Fighting Vehicle. Now, before it was nerfed to stupid, because I don't agree with the nerfs, can you tell? This thing had very, 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 very good side armor. Extremely good frontal armor. The turret was an overpen spot, which they still haven't restored over penetration. I don't know if they ever are. And therefore made it very hard to kill. Which was compensated for by weak autocannon penetration and the fact it had to stop to fire its missiles. Now, well, it still has the incredibly weak autocannon penetration, none of the armor, and no overpen to protect its very lightly armored turret. I'm going to put this to you this way. For an AFV, the Ramka is a huge target, it's slow, and it doesn't have enough hit points to compensate for these, and the autocannon is lackluster at best. So there you have it. That is what you can expect to get now. It really needs some addressing in order to make it competitive again. That much said, let's compare it to the only other Tier 8 AFV in existence, the Warrior. Which, the advantage over the Ramka is you have missiles. The Warrior doesn't. The Warrior, however, has an autocannon that does a shitload more damage per shot, even if it only gets 6 shots per clip, and has 220 pen to your 155. The Ramka will not penetrate the Warrior with the ablative add-on armor package on the front or side. It must shoot the Warrior in the rear or the turret. It just won't do it. Its autocannon is not sufficient. The Ramka has less hit points. It's supposed to be the armored AFV and has less hit points. Has 3 less HP. When fully upgraded, too. This Warrior that you're seeing right here doesn't even have an armor retrofit equipped. The Ramka has a Tier 3 internal hull reinforcement and still has fewer hit points than the Warrior. It has stronger frontal hull armor. However, its side hull is thinner and completely flat, whereas the Warrior's not only has angled, but has, get this one, spaced armor. Whereas the Ramka's side armor is almost entirely reliant on its heavy ERA package. Which, by the way, while it's great and all, its heavy ERA no longer provides the 5 or 6 armor modifier it previously did. Instead, it only provides 35 versus heat shells and 1 versus HE and AP, a single artillery shell able to completely ruin all of its ERA, by the way, leaving it exposed to heat and missile rounds. The Ramka does have an APS system. The Warrior does not. However, that is another slight advantage it has over the Warrior. The Ramka has one of the worst AFV camouflage ratings at 22%. Even the XM8 is slowly creeping up to compete with it for a better camouflage rating, and the Striker just flat out has a better one. It also has 495 meters of view range. To illustrate how short this is, it only has 100 more meters of view range than Tier 8 main battle tanks. And when you start getting into Tier 9 vehicles, such as the Draco has the same view range and better camouflage, and it will have to consistently fight a Draco. On top of the fact that the Draco's frontal armor sloping means that its autocannon rounds are not consistently able to penetrate the front upper plate of the Draco. The Crab can outspot it for days, and it will have to fight crabs. Not only this, the Crab's autocannon is vastly superior. And it will have to fight Sphinxes, and the Sphinx can flat out punch its side armor. This is supposed to be the armored AFV, ladies and gentlemen. This thing needs some real love, in my opinion. It lacks gun depression. It also lacks gun elevation. However, it is one of the few AFVs that can elevate and depress its missile turret as well as its autocannon. Though in-game, it is unclear if the missiles are actually able to depress or elevate. Its turret speed is also slow compared to the Warriors. Hell, even compared to, say, the Challenger 2 that it will have to fight. It can outturn it, but don't expect this thing to circle jerk anyone. At 64.8 kilometers per hour and only in a 3.32 acceleration time with incredibly terrible ground resistance. Do not expect to circle jerk very many people for very long, or unless they're just that unskilled. Your autocannon is also incredibly inaccurate when compared to the Warrior. In effect, there's almost no reason to take this vehicle over a Warrior. There really isn't. Back in early access, this thing's sheer shock value at effectively being a T-80 hull with advanced reinforcements from the T-90 in order to make it nearly invulnerable, and then with the overpin mechanic on its turret, made it a fearsome beast indeed. Now, it's had its side armor nerfed considerably, its frontal armor nerfed considerably, the weak spots on the front enlarged considerably, and without overpenetration to protect its very thinly armored turret, it effectively has been nerfed into the ground. This is on patch point 0.15, just after the 4th of July, for those who want a reference date. The tank simply doesn't hold up anymore unless you are the most skilled of individuals to drive it. Weak spots for if you want absolute full damage. This box here, this site here, this site here, this entire ring back here are all weak spots. The lower plate is about the same thickness as the T-80's lower plate. In addition to this, the side armor is actually pretty goddamn thin. 175 millimeters with a 1.7 composite and only 30 millimeters provided by the ERA now instead of the legendary 150 millimeters that was provided before. Means that virtually everything will penetrate your side. In addition to this, as you guys can see underneath this ERA, you have no side skirts. So once the ERA has been blown off, it is providing no additional armor, and there is no additional armor underneath it. In addition to this, for some inexplicable reason, the left side has cage armor covering this section rather than ERA. That was a modification made after closed beta. Let's just face it, I'm just going to be honest. The tank is, in essence, a shell of its former self, and at best case, it is very bad. Now I do have a replay to show you guys, so let's get right into it. I'm done with my rant on why the Ramka-99 should be threatening and actually isn't. So we are on Narrows. I will be driving a Ramka-99 on Narrows. My platoon mate, Jeff, this is his first time in PvP, is driving an Ariete. Now you're going to see what I'm talking about when I have said that this thing should be a threat. And really, truly, it is not a threat anymore to just about anything. So you hear the autocannon load up, the missiles are in the process of getting ready. I am driving full speed. As you can clearly see, the Centauro and the Weasel are easily able to outrun me. The XM8 is actually closing the gap to me on the map, and therefore actually also outrunning me as a light tank with an actual main gun. And our Challenger 1 and Striker have for some reason decided to set up so far back that they're ineffective. Meanwhile, the enemy's Challenger 1 is being incredibly aggressive. I decided to deploy smoke to cover me up and barely dodge a Challenger 1 round fired at me through the smoke. The enemy artillery has deployed multiple rounds, and then I just eat a hit. Flat out, straight up, through the side ERA, no problem, no question. before a high-angled shot like that wouldn't have penetrated. And the arty just blew off every bit of ERA I have on my left side with a single hit. There goes that extra 30 millimeters of armor. As you can see, because it relies on the heavy... And by the way, in previous patches, the heavy ERA would take multiple hits to blow off. Now, I've just lost the ERA off the front hull and off the entire side with a single artillery shell. And I'm in the process of trying to provoke this T-80. Which I then see multiple rounds coming at me, so I duck back down and decide, you know what? If no one is going to fucking support me, I may as well bail out. So I wait for the T-80s to fire and then get moving as fast as I can, opening fire into the BMD-4 with every little bit of aggression I have. The Challenger up there, ignoring me for the moment, having not been informed by his platoon mates that I'm here. He has the 280s platoon with him, by the way. I'm delivering all I can. Now, against other AFVs, this thing is a nightmare. But against a Challenger who just shot me in the turret for 500 points of damage... See why I say this thing needs over-penetration? Shoots me in the turret again for 300, basically tearing me apart. And now I have to precision aim that autocannon in order to hopefully do any damage. Again, with over-penetration, I would still have about 700 hit points. Instead, I have 13. That is why this thing is terrible. It's supposed to be an armored AFV, an AFV that can withstand main battle tank rounds. What we just saw was a Challenger in 3 short shots take me from 1700 to 13. I'm supposed to take main battle tank rounds. Now again, I'm reasonably sure the missile turrets are in fact not adjusting their angle of course even though they're supposed to. So I am hoping that these missiles don't slam into the ground. And I fire 4 missiles and get a single hit for damage. I'm shooting, by the way. I'm shooting at this T-90's side armor and lower front plate now that he's turned. But yep, I do next to no damage. Because my missiles don't pack the 1,000 plus penetration that most tier 8 and 9 missiles do. Mine only pack 900 penetration. I know I'm bitching, but I seriously miss how much of a beast this thing used to be. And now it's been nerfed so hard it can't even stand up to itself. It really just can't even fight. This is the best match I could get out of it. Which is not a very good match. For, you know, my standards. Now at the moment I am spotted. And I'm opening fire on the warrior. And by the way, those were ricochets. I hit. Just didn't do any damage. Front of the striker, you can see some of the rounds failing to penetrate. To start with, I have to manually aim the gun at his lower plate in order to actually penetrate. And I'm having to be very careful to avoid grinding against my allies for fear a light ram will actually kill me. The vehicle is great for 2 things. Going after armored fighting vehicles and going after artillery. But because of low hit point counts, vastly nerfed armor, it is completely inadequate to go after tank destroyers, and definitely cannot take on a main battle tank by itself. This is as fast as I can go, and it took me almost 20 seconds to build up to this speed. And now I'm about to drop back down to 40. Shooting in the back of the turret for the last kill. This poor tank has been nerfed so hard by Obsidian that I highly recommend avoiding it altogether. I'm sorry for those people who are running down the Ramka-99 line. But the fact of the matter is, the vehicle is a shell of its former self. And no longer capable of really standing toe-to-toe with much of anything. This was the best match I could get in it, and we're about to see said match. So let's go take a look at the final stats. Here we have it. I did get the gold star, I did get recon, I did 3,000 spotting damage and 4,000 actual damage. I barely survived by the skin of my teeth. I managed to do 1,100 damage to a BMD4, 900 damage to a Challenger, which you guys saw I had to shoot in the engine deck to actually hurt. If I hit its side armor, I bounced. If I hit its rear armor, I might not even penetrate. I only did 600 damage to the T-90, and that was with 4 missiles. One was destroyed by the APS, and the other 3 simply failed to penetrate. It's just not any good anymore, folks. It looks big, tough, and intimidating. 114 shots fired. 80 hit the target. 61 penetrated. And the majority of the penetrations were against the BMD-4, not against the other targets. Furthermore, this is something very important. So yes, I did get top on the team, and I did have to carry with the spotting, but the team carried me just as hard. I'm going to be honest. Without this Leo 2A5 and without our artillery, we lose this match. Without either one of them. Furthermore, damage mitigated is mostly from the BMD-4. I mitigated only 1 main battle tank shot that entire match. The rest of the stuff that hit me penetrated. Didn't matter if it shot the front, the side, the rear. It could just punch right through the turret. It could punch right through the side. Before, they would have had trouble doing so. Literally, the tank can't stand up to main battle tanks in any way, shape, and form as a, quote, armored fighting vehicle. It seriously is in need of a buff across the board just to meet the baseline for competitiveness, much less the fact that some people may still see this thing as fearful and overpowered. It truly is not. I survived by the skin of my teeth only because I have the Armor Retrofit Hull Reinforcement Mark III equipped. Without that, I would be dead. So, if you've had a good time so far, if this review's been informative to you, please hit the like button. I didn't go over crew skills or retrofits for this vehicle because right at the moment I firmly feel the vehicle is not worth your time. I've actually, as you guys can see from this screenshot, I've actually equipped it for maximum view, for as much view range as I can muster, and the Advanced MRS is the only vehicle I use it on. It's absolutely required because you have such weak penetration that without the additional 2 degrees of normalization for your autocannon AP rounds, they simply won't penetrate even when they should. I'm sorry, Obsidian. This is a garbage tier 8 at this point. It is the only tier 8 of which I will say is absolute trash and garbage. Even the Striker has a place now. And this simply does not. So, here's the previous review for you guys. If you'd like to see more stuff by me, Fiaura, you can subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so through Patreon, or you can check out the ad at the end of the video. I feel very sorry for all players who purchased this vehicle. And I don't know what else to say about it. Other than, damn, Obsidian. Damn, did you have to make a bad... I really want them to rebalance tier 8, and I want to go back and re-review this thing after it's rebalanced and given proper credit and buffs where that is absolutely due. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen. In the meantime, from my house to yours, this is Fiaura, and I'll hopefully see all of your faces next time.